In the early morning hours, I was notified by Byron Police Chief Wesley Cannon that there had been an officer-involved shooting here at this location. He further let me know that in accordance with the circuit-wide policy that I established, as well as his own city policy and following best practices, he notified the GBI immediately and that they came out to investigate. Of course, that policy pertains to officer-involved shootings. That's been the policy since I took over. I'm not going to go too much into the facts because this is an ongoing investigation. With that in mind, are there any questions?
What can you tell us about what you know at this point?
It's my understanding that an incident occurred during the execution of a search warrant. Because there was an officer-involved shooting at the time of that, I was notified and the GBI came out and began their investigation. Once the GBI has concluded their investigation, then I will decide whether or not any charges are appropriate.
Now, of course, the suspect is dead, so there wouldn't be any charges against anyone shooting an officer. So what are you looking for at this point? Just whether the raid itself was conducted appropriately?
I'm not comfortable getting into the detail at this point. It's important that I not talk about the facts, but really what I'm looking at is just to make sure no laws were violated, and that's my job as DA, to make sure that everyone followed the law in executing the search warrant and in the course of the shooting. I'm really not comfortable going into the facts other than to say that they were executing a search warrant about a drug case, and at the time that they did so, there was a shooting.
Is this a known drug house?
I'm not going to go into the facts. I think it's important that I wait until all the facts come in and then make my decision.
Was the circuit familiar with the suspect in this case?
We know who he is, I'll put it to you that way, and obviously they had to know something about him in order to effectuate the search warrant.
Can you give us his identity at this point?
We're not releasing the name of the decedent at this point.
Physically, what is your role on this scene? I mean, most DAs come to crime scenes that are active like this?
My office has been out on the scene since we learned about it early this morning. Our primary role is to be the legal advisor to the officers there on the scene. Sometimes they have questions about what's appropriate, whether or not they should get other warrants, legal procedure that should be done at the time. So we're here in an advisory and assisting role, just to make sure that any legal questions they have are answered and to make sure that the law is complied with.